Hi, my name is Dennis Eisenbarth, and I want to talk to you today about creating real and lasting change in your life. I'm going to share with you 6 different ways that you can behave like a change navigator. Back in 2003, there was a lady by the name of Chris Kerr. Chris was 32 years old at the time and enjoying life, but she went to a regular checkup at her doctor's office, and that resulted in her being diagnosed with a rare and incurable stage 4 cancer. But Chris did not take that lying down. She decided to make radical changes in her life and her nutrition in order to successfully manage that cancer and survive. See, oftentimes we feel like change is unplanned. We have no choice in the matter. But in spite of that, we can take steps in order to more successfully manage our way through change. For the most part, we feel like survivors, just victims of change when it comes along in our life, like we have no ability to do anything about it. But Stephen Covey once said, we immediately become more effective when we decide to change ourselves rather than asking things to change for us. You see, we have to change something about us before the change can be more successful. Well, oftentimes, in the beginning of change, we feel a great number of emotions like fear, anxiety, resentment, anger, guilt. We feel a great deal of stress in the midst of the change, and that can sabotage our ability to move through change. That leads me to the number one way of behaving like a change navigator, and that is harness your emotions. Understand what emotions you're experiencing and being able to control those emotions. Dan and Chip Heath were the authors of a book called Switch. And in that book, they described change as being like a rider on top of an elephant. And they said the rider is really the rational side of us, the one that wants to make good decisions in the midst of the change. But the elephant is like our emotions, and the elephant is often so strong and so powerful that it pretty much takes the rider anywhere it wants to go. And so you see, when our emotions are uncontrolled, very often we can't make good decisions about the change process because our emotions are taking over. So you see, we have to understand the power of our emotions and how it's influencing that change process. The number two way of helping you to become a change navigator is overcoming your default switch. Charles Duhigg was the author of a book called The Power of Habit, and he described every bad habit as having three different components. One was the cue, one was the routine, and another was the reward. The cue is really the trigger that triggers our brain into automatically doing the habit. The routine is how we physically, mentally, and emotionally walk out that routine of the habit. And the reward is all of the package that we receive that encourages us to continue to do that habit over and over again. So you see, we have to identify for every bad habit, what is the cue, the routine, and the reward? Give you an example. Say, for instance, you are in the habit of going for lunch every day with your friends. Sounds like a lot of fun, right? But maybe you decide that you're eating too many donuts or spending too much money, so you want to change that habit. Well, the cue really happens in the morning prior to you going out for lunch. It's the thing that encourages you to want to think about doing that habit again. The routine is everything of walking out the habit of being with your friends in that restaurant, eating the food. And of course, the reward is all of the tastes, the smells, the sounds, the interaction you have with your friends. That's your reward. You have to identify a new cue, a routine, and a reward in order to change that habit. The number three way of behaving like a change navigator is cultivate positive self talk. Charles Reed once said, sow a thought and reap an act, sow an act and reap a habit, sow a habit and reap a character, sow a character and reap a destiny. So you see, destiny all begins with a thought. We have to sow different thoughts into our brain. You see, many of us are so consumed by negative self talk that ends up sabotaging our ability to move through change because we've convinced ourselves that we don't need it or deserve it. The number four way of helping you to become a change navigator is discover what helped you succeed in the past. You see, we've all successfully gone through change before in our past. What are they? What are the things that you've done in the past? Identify them and then repeat them. The number five way is say yes and then say no. Say yes to the things that are going to get us to accomplishing our clear and defined goals about change. And then say no to all of the distractions, the people, places, and things who are going to get us off track and back into our old bad habits. Number six way of becoming a change navigator is get accountability. Get accountability about your change and that process. Gather people around you who can help you to be accountable for the new person that you want to become. So, whatever happened to Chris? Well, she in fact survived. She turned her cancer into a business of hope and healing, and she was able to successfully navigate her way through change because of her ability to navigate that change. Charles Kettering once said, "The world hates change, yet it is the only thing that has brought progress." So you see, change can bring positive progress in your life. It can bring wonderful things. Change can be a positive thing for you if you take steps to help navigate your way through change. I hope these steps have helped you. My name is Dennis Eisenbarth. Thank you for watching.